Attention all business owners. Are you tired of managing your finances and taxes on your own? Let the experts at 1-800 Tax Masters help. Our team of experienced professionals offers a range of services to help you keep your finances in order, from personal and business tax returns to monthly accounting, quarterly and annual tax planning, and virtual controller and CFO services. With our virtual services, you can get the support you need without ever having to leave your office. Don't let taxes and finances stress you out any longer. Visit www.1800taxmasters.com today and let us handle the numbers so you can focus on growing your business. And welcome to another live episode of Stuck in My Mind. I am your host, WIZE. I have a very special guest. When I read his profile, I thought it was amazing with the things he was doing. I'll let him talk about his journey and everything he's doing. Welcome to the show, Julian Hayes.
Hello. And I have to say that was a very cool intro.
Oh, thank you.
Very cool intro. I'm always jealous of people who are very technologically a savant at their craft, and so I just have to commend you on that intro. Very good.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that, man. Actually, one of my good friends, he actually did the intro for me, but I'm learning from him, and so I've been honing my craft as far as creating intros for other people. I've created a couple of them in the last couple of weeks for a friend of mine. But it's great to be able to have someone to mentor me, someone who knows what they're doing and break it down for me. And he just lets me, like, when I do a video, I'll send it to him, or when I do intro or whatever, I'll send it to him, and he'll just tell me, hey, this is great about it, but maybe if you did this and tweak this. And that's how I just improve on what I'm doing.
Yeah, and I think that's the first big thing you mentioned: a mentorship, a guidance, an elder, somebody to teach you the ways. I always think about go back in the old days, and apprenticeships were a huge thing.
Yeah.
And you can't discount that. And it's in sports and pretty much in any type of endeavor or craft that you look into. Apprenticeship and mentorship is a very key thing. I know I wouldn't be here without people that came before me and current mentors now.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I feel everyone should have a coach or a mentor or someone to help them, especially someone who's doing what you want to do. So you want to be able to pick their brain because they've already been where you're at. And so to help ease the transition for you to avoid the pitfalls that they avoided, it's always great to have someone you can go speak to and ask some questions and pick their brains.
Absolutely 100% on that.
All right, Julian. So you wanted to become a doctor, but you what happened?
Well, so I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, and I was in school in New York. Two totally different areas, safe to say.
Yes,
And
my
so
city can be a little rough.
so I'm not a city boy. I wasn't a city boy. Now I'm a city boy in my head, at least. And so when you're in New York, you're talking to so many people. You're meeting people. Anytime you go to a cafe or a restaurant or even a lounge or a bar, everyone has big dreams. They got the next big startup. They're going to win an Academy Award. They're directing the next big film. Everybody has big dreams and ambitions up there. And over the course of time, throughout that semester, I'm meeting these people, and I come to this realization that I'm not necessarily totally in love with the idea of being a physician, being a doctor. I really only want to be an ophthalmologist. And more than anything, I love the idea of health. I love that subject. I'm fascinated by it. I'm fascinated by science. Not necessarily in love with being a doctor. The thing about the doctor is I'm first generation, so nobody went to college even before me or anything. And so I am like the golden child. I am the one because, I'm getting ready to be a doctor. Everybody can brag on me. And so you kind of have this status, this thing of people puffing you up, right? And you like that. And school was easy. School was pretty easy for me. But I wasn't fulfilled. And I got to thinking 20, 30 years down the line, did I want to be one of those older people who are just filled with this regret? And I was like, no, I didn't want to be that person. And I usually always look at things as risk reward. You can have a piece of paper And I thought about, okay, I can always go back to school. The government will love to give me more student loans. They would love to. No problems at all with that.
Not-
But I wouldn't necessarily have this opportunity when there's no family and there's this the least amount of responsibility that I'll probably have in my life right now. So I need to take this opportunity. And so I decided not to go back after that first year. And I went through a bunch of different roller coaster journeys to get to where I am right now. One of those is I wanted to write as well. I didn't have a writing background. Nobody even knew I wanted to write. I lived vicariously through people. I played the role of just being kind of a little bit of a nerd and a jock because I was very good at sports. And so over the course of time, not to go into every little detail, curiosity is pretty much is what has got me here. Everything I do now started with a personal inquiry with myself to see what's next. That's my ethos. That guides me every day. I encourage people with their health or even just in life in general to always ask yourself the question of what's next. After this thing comes, what's next? It keeps you going. And when you have that thing of what's next, therefore, you're never going to have to go back and fall into old habits because there's always another level that you can grow. It's a continual evolution. And that's kind of the meaning of life for me.
Cool. It's funny that you say you had said something before just a few minutes, and it kind of resonated with what I was doing, and it's just amazing when you go take that risk and you take that that chance at something that you really just like you. I was a jock and a
Hmm.
nerd
Hmm.
combined because I love reading comics. I was a big nerd as far as comics and all that stuff, but I played
Hmm.
football and baseball, and so it was I was a part of both worlds. I'm saying I was cool with the jocks and the cool kids and
You get
everything,
it.
and
Yeah.
then I still had my nerdy geeky friends
Right.
and stuff like that. So it was with you saying that, I was like, yeah, I come from a similar world, something similar like that. But I didn't like I wasn't I didn't prior to this, I wasn't in media. I didn't do radio or any of that. And when I started podcasting, it was like I was telling you off air, I had been wanting to do it, but I was just making up excuses. I was just like, nah, I can't do it. I sound horrible. I'm gonna suck. Nobody's gonna want to listen to me. I was just stuck in my own mind.
Yeah, I
And
can
that's
relate to that. I can relate to that. I
yeah,
I I hated this voice because it sounded so proper. I
yeah.
hated this voice. I tried to change this voice for so long so I could sound more hip and cool. I cannot tell you how much I hated this voice. Now, but the voice became a gift actually later on. It's a gift now. But early on, I did like because I got into podcasting as well. And even like being on camera, like this is live. This would make me so nervous
Yeah.
because I was a introvert and I really fully live that label. And I had to really teach myself to be outgoing, to be more extroverted, to learn how to have conversations, to speak to strangers, and and these little basic things that people overlook now. And so I was stuck in my mind as well.
So one of the things you're very what you're here for is to talk about health
Hmm.
and generational health. And I love when I read that on your profile. I was like, oh, that's dope. That's something that I really want to focus on because I know I am technically obese. I need to
Hmm.
lose some weight and all that. And so, what made you want to help people gain this generational health?
Hmm. Yeah, there was a when I first thought about health growing up, my definition was once you get to 30, everything tends to go downhill from there because that was my existing paradigm. That's what I saw from my current environment around me. And I met an older gentleman. He was running up the court with us playing basketball and he was in really good health. And he was also talking about like 70, 80-year-olds running marathons and all this stuff. And it sounded like a folktale. But, I got to talking with him. I was like, man, what's the secret? And it's very basic advice. And it didn't really marinate really in my head. It like planted a seed that really started to sprout years later. And so that was part of it. And then the second part is that dealing with it personally with my father and grandfather, those people, and I saw the emotional toll that health, um, that not having health or even having to care for people, what that brings, and kind of how that robs you of a lot of stories with people. I think it's very cool when I see 3 to 4 generations of people taking a picture and just thinking about that the youngest boy there has the eldest to talk to, and you get all that wisdom that you have there, and you're creating this culture, because I read about generational wealth, and you read about certain families and stuff like that, and they're establishing a culture. And
Yeah.
I just got to thinking about, like, why don't we do this with our health as well? And then you start looking at the scientific component of it, where we're not just eating right now. We're not just taking, like, for me, if I start a family later on in life, I'm not just eating for myself right now, and she is not just going to be eating for herself, because what we do right now is directly going to influence a couple generations that comes after us in terms of our gene expression and the epigenetic component of that. So, it's this whole big thing that where this moment might seem small, and that, like, what we do doesn't matter, but it actually does matter. What we do right now, what we do on a consistent basis, is kind of shifting the direction for people that come after us, and kind of the quality of life, and giving them a head start in so many things.
Well, I agree with you with that. It's to the point where our kids are picking up our bad habits as far as eating and taking care of ourselves and exercise, and they see this
Mhm.
firsthand. They see what we're doing, and that's what they learn. And so for me, I really want I'm going to change what I have to, because I have grandkids that my grandson loves me. He's always around me, always, hey, pop, pop,
Mhm.
pop, 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 pop. And so I really want to start setting a better example for him.
Yeah, and you just think about, like, how cool it is to be able to run around with them,
Yeah.
and not just see them, but be a active participant in terms of activities and everything with them. That's
Yeah.
that's a total. And so I think you keep those kind of stories in your head, and I think that is probably the first step for someone who's looking to really dramatically improve their health. Is, number one, like you admit, like, have the awareness. First of all, say, hey, I need to improve. That's self accountability. That's the first step. And then after that, you start thinking of, kind of, who are the people in life that needs me? Who's going to benefit from this? Because a lot of times, and I think this speaks to how awesome humans are, is that we will do more for other people a lot of times than we will do for ourselves in terms of taking care of them, and doing things, if we know other people depend on us.
Yeah. I agree with you on that, because I tend to be able to help people more
Hmm.
than I am to help myself, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If and like when I like because I'm certified life coach. I'm working on starting my coaching business, and I've been told, hey, dude, you're great with people. You have a great skill talking to people and all this, and you'll make an excellent coach. But then I'm my own worst enemy, because the advice I give to other people, I don't necessarily follow. And so that's where I need to work. That's where I'm working on myself now,
Hmm.
where I need to really start following what I'm preaching,
Hmm.
basically.
One of the things is, and I think we all experience this, and I experience this now in certain things, as I'm looking to kind of take another quantum leap, take a leap, and morph into this other person, is that sometimes you kind of have to ignore this current reality right now, if that makes sense. Because, if you look around you right now, it might not be indicative of what you see yourself as right now. And a lot of times that can stop people. And I see this a lot of times in health, where, like, a person sees themselves as wanting to be healthier and all these things, but the current physical reality right now in this present time, none of these things are indicative of that. Even if they're exercising for a couple weeks, they don't see anything physically yet. So it's hard to keep the momentum going, because they don't see that and there's that disconnect. So then that's why I always say to ignore this reality, because this reality is only this because of everything that's done in the past that has created this. So if you want a different tomorrow, that means you have to start today with the habits that someone will have of that thing that you're talking about, if that makes sense.
No,
So
it makes sense.
yeah,
Makes plenty sense.
so the person who's super healthy, right? So instead of even thinking about, oh, I got to lose 20 pounds or all that, think about, what is a person who's healthy and is 20 pounds lighter? How does this person move? How does this person walk and everything? What does this person do? It's kind of almost developing I don't want, almost like an alter ego or a new character. You're
Yeah,
developing
you
a
have to.
character. Yeah, because I had to do that. Um, I had to say, okay, I don't have none of these things. I don't, like, no writing accolades, none of this. But I had to go ahead and be this person today, and then that thing will come. Where I think a lot of times we want we want to be confirmed before we take the move, where we need to do the opposite. We have to move, and then that thing will confirm and come to us.
Okay, that actually made sense right there. That actually made sense. It did, and it's shown me that I have to be that coach now. Like,
Hmm.
be the coach now.
Yeah.
Don't wait till I'm right. Like, and it's funny because is I had this conversation with someone where they were a guest and they were commending me for doing video and going live,
Hmm.
and they were like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's cool, it's great." And they're like, "Yeah," she says, "But I'm not ready for video. I'm not ready to do live shows and stuff like that." And she says, "I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for me. I'm waiting for it to be perfect."
Hmm.
And my answer to her was, "Yeah, you're already messing up right there because it's never going to be perfect. The
Hmm.
time is never going to be perfect. The time is now. The time is now for you to do it now, because how are you supposed to learn if you don't attempt it?
Hmm.
If you're just waiting on the sidelines talking about, oh, I'm not ready to do it, but I want to do it eventually. I'm waiting until I'm perfect or until everything is set up right. You're never going to do it, because then you're just going to keep making excuses to, oh, this is not working, or this is not right. The time is not, oh, my hair is off out of place this way, or whatever it is.
Yeah, and it's better, and you can relate that to you can relate that to any type of endeavor. You can see people that are searching for the perfect nutritional regimen, the perfect exercise regimen, the perfect podcast plan, the perfect business plan.
Yeah.
And all you're really doing is delaying the results that you actually desire. Because if anything, the quicker you start, the quicker you can get feedback, which is then the quicker that you can reiterate, you can
Start developing.
gather,
Yeah.
and then you can go to version 2. So think about this like an app. The first version of the app is probably has a lot of things to be worked out on, but at least it's out there and you're getting feedback, you're learning, and therefore you're able to quicker get into that version 2.0 of that app there. And this is the same thing when it comes to our health, and I guess probably our relationships, but not an expert on that, but I just imagine that, and our business and our podcasting as well.
Yeah. No, it is. It definitely is. And again, it's it's like with anything, you just have to, in order for you to be good at anything, you have to do it. You have to, and you have to be consistent with it. And the more you do it, the more you're gonna improve.
Y-
Like, you was listening to me, like you was telling me earlier, you had listened to a couple of earlier episodes,
mhm.
and you listened to some of the more newer episodes. What difference did you see?
First and
What like
foremost,
what difference did you hear basically?
the audio quality was a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was first and foremost. And then also, you sounded more confident and a lot more just comfortable at ease.
Hmm.
It's like a veteran in the NBA, right? It's like looking
Yeah.
at LeBron now in 17 years. He's put some reps in, so he's just comfortable out there, right? And he's doing it with a lot more ease now.
Hmm.
And I think that was one of the things as well. It's just that it's easy. It's easier to jump into the conversation, to ask the questions. The flow is better. But those are things that you're only going to get by
With
actually doing it.
doing it, yeah.
Like I'm a much better runner now than I was 2 years ago because I didn't come from this running world. I came from the opposite end of the world in terms of the types of training. And so I was trying to do distance running like I was doing a sprint. And I needed to learn how to shorten my strides, work on my gait, work on getting the right shoes, have to train a different way, all these different things when you're doing a more of a hybrid style of training. But I wouldn't have gathered all this intel if I didn't just start by going out there and doing the thing.
So one of the things I enjoy about doing the lives is the comments. People come in and leave comments. How you doing, Ben? Ben Munoz. He was actually a guest on the show. He goes, any thoughts on how a Veterans Administration medical facilities treat us veterans, medical care, or insight on what we should expect? Well, I don't think you're not an expert on that, but is
No,
there any like health, like anything as far as exercise and health wise that might be able to help them, or anything that might be able to help them as far as
yeah, I'm not too certain on that, but I will. I guess just looking at a broad picture, just from a macro picture, I would like more attention on veterans in terms of care and everything. And and that's I don't think they get enough attention. But as far as facilities, I think some of them are better than others, is what I'm
yes.
gathering. Just like hospitals, like some of them are going to be better than others. I will say, I'm sure I don't even know like how insurance goes and everything. If it's just based on insurance, then usually the type of care you can get is what your insurance allows. It may not be the best, but it's whatever your insurance allows. A lot of times, that's kind of the problem because some of the things I do now, it's not covered by insurance, even though it would be beneficial, but it's in competition with things like the pharmaceutical industry.
Yes,
It's
it's
yeah,
not
yeah,
that's not what big pharma wants. They don't want you to
yeah,
help people get healthy.
yeah. So for that, I would say um, use the resources you got, but then look outside to complement those. But definitely use it because you can. I imagine you can with standard care, you can probably get a good baseline fundamental like level established of care with those facilities, and then you might just have to go outside for something a little more specialized.
Okay. And then Obami Brown, who's a good friend of mine. He says, how we both doing? I'm doing great, brother. How are you?
I mean, I'm doing super fantastic. Thank you for asking, man. I love these. I love these conversations and just talking to people, man.
Nah, it's so as you know, I started as audio podcast,
Hmm.
and then I transitioned to pre-recorded, and now this year I started doing lives. And well, that's a lie. Last year, last summer, I started doing
Hmm.
lives, and it was the reason I went live is because of the audience interaction. It made them part of the show now.
Hmm.
It gave them the opportunity to be in the show, and it made it their show as well now. So now it's not just me and the guest show; it's the audience's show as well.
Hmm. And that's something I want to work on in the future. I've been live a few times,
Yeah.
but a lot of my audience is trained and just for the audio. So, but I do like that the few lives I did, it was pretty cool to kind of have a few comments here and there to kind of like if you're doing a present, like some of mine I did slideshows. And so to have that breakup and ask the question, hey, can you clarify this or just something different? And to answer that question, I think that was a lot more impactful because a lot of times when you're creating episodes, at least with me, you're hoping that this is going to be something valuable. In your head, you're thinking this is valuable, but you just never know until you actually
Release it. Yeah.
release it. Yeah.
But here now, you actually get to see that
Hmm.
it is. You get to see from the comments that people are getting something from it. So
Hmm.
that's why I really do enjoy it. Like I could tell the difference that my numbers aren't the same compared to pre-recorded to live.
Hmm.
Eventually they'll start seeing, but I know the numbers lives are lower, but to me, I won't change it. Like I had someone say, "Oh, you should go back to pre-recorded. Your numbers are to me. I don't care about the numbers.
Yeah. No.
I care about the fact that someone is getting some knowledge or they're learning a lesson right now,
Hmm.
not waiting till So they see waiting till I release the episode that I recorded a week or so ago. No, they're getting whatever they need to learn at that moment, and they can always catch a replay.
Mhm.
So if you're not seeing this now and you're catching the replay, appreciate it.
Yeah, and plus, you gotta do it for your enjoyment as well. If you enjoy doing lives, you do it that way
Yeah,
because people can feel the energy, and if you don't even enjoy what you're doing, they can feel that. And there's a motto that I live by: is you do it for the intention, not the attention. And so
yeah,
you're being very intentional here. And so numbers are cool, but a lot of times are the like numbers are just numbers unless
yeah.
you get it's what you give that meaning to.
Mhm.
What does the numbers mean to you? So I rather have 10 dedicated listeners that I know are getting impact and
Yes.
benefit from it than 1,000 for just vanity metrics that are not engaged at all, and they're just casually listening and not getting any benefit really from it.
And that was the reason why when they was like, "Oh, you should go back to," I was like, "No, that's not what I want."
Hmm.
I personally enjoy this format right now, and I'm actually even tweaking it a little bit more because I do 3 lives a week, and I usually interview 3 different people. And like I said, I'm going into coaching, so I'm scaling it back as far as how many guests I'm having on a week. I'm scaling it back to Tuesdays are going to be the days that I interview people.
Hmm.
Mondays are going to be the days that I call mindset Mondays, and I'm gonna be focusing more on me. Just it's going to be me focusing more on developing mindsets and all that. And then Wednesdays is going to be freestyle Wednesdays, and I haven't decided what exactly that's going to
Hmm.
be, but it's giving me an opportunity to just now when I do have that guest for that week, I can solely focus on them. I don't have to worry about
Hmm.
getting information on all 3 guests. Now I can just focus on that one guest and give them that my full attention for that week. And it also gives, like I said, it also gives me an opportunity to show people what I'm capable of, what I'm that I do know what I'm talking about as far as me going into coaching.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's the best of both worlds, and it's once again something that you're going to enjoy.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is going to be something that I enjoy. So you said you you was interested in writing.
Hmm.
Is that still something you would like to do? Is write a book or something?
Yeah, I've written one book already,
You've written it?
and
Okay.
uh-huh,
You released it?
and I did. It's been
Okay.
6 or 7 years ago. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, and so I'm much I'm taking a break from. I didn't just want to write another book without having anything to say, and writing that book years ago was kind of like a way to kind of let a different Julian go to have this new Julian form in terms of the type of health information I'm talking about and kind of where I'm going and everything. Like that book was
Okay.
more what I call like a fitness origin story, playing off the superhero origin thing. So
Okay.
it's all about creating a solid foundation with your health and fitness. And then the next thing I'm going to write after that is going to be more of the stuff that I'm currently doing now in that endeavor. Um, and then the writing, I miss writing. I need to start writing more. I've gotten way too much in the podcasting world now that now I don't take the time every day to write. But I do miss writing, so I am going to get back in that slowly but surely.
Oh, no, believe me, you even as a podcaster, you need to write.
Hmm.
It is
It
there's
helps you think.
times,
Yeah.
yeah, no, it does. If you look all over my desk and then you look by the side of my bed, I have a notepad and it's whenever I have an idea, I'll jot it down, or if I have something on my mind that I want to just and and I don't consider myself a writer. I'm
Hmm.
not. That's not something that that's not something when I was growing up, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna write a book or I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. But now that I'm doing this and I'm going into coaching and I'm doing and I know I have a story to share.
I think everyone at least has one book in them.
Yeah.
I think
No.
every person at least has one book in them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's gonna come out. It's
Yeah.
gonna come out.
Some
Eventually it will come out.
yeah. Some
Maybe this
people
year, maybe next year, but it definitely will come out.
yeah, I think yeah, everyone has a book, maybe stuck in my mind.
Maybe that might have to be the name of my book.
Think have the think of the subtitle and everything of like what are they getting out of the book, but stuck in my mind could be the title, and then you'll figure out the subtitle.
Yeah. No, that is true. No, that does make sense. It does. All right, so you don't are you not writing anything at all, or
Not too much now. I for my episodes, some of my solo episodes that are a
yeah?
little more technical, I have notes that are written out in structure, so I don't go all over the place, and so I can keep some kind of order. But as far as like a formal article or anything, I probably haven't published an article anywhere maybe over a year or so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've just been doing the audio and video world.
So how do you feel about podcasting? Like, how is it something that you like? I feel a lot of people, if you're a business owner and stuff like that, you should have a podcast,
Mhm.
especially to help promote your business.
Yeah, I started mine mainly because I had a curiosity to talk with certain people.
Okay.
And if you email someone, hey, can I have 60 minutes to pick your brain or ask you some questions? They're going to say no. Hey, can I interview you for my podcast for 60 minutes? Absolutely. Kind of the same thing you're getting, because a lot of times the questions that you're going to ask is going to be the things that you're most curious about them. And so
Yeah.
you're getting the same thing, and you're also building a relationship. But then also now you're also having a platform to kind of establish your values, what you're about, your
Mhm.
expertise, your mission in the world, et cetera, and et cetera. And the way the world's going is more and more audio. As much as I love the written word, I think people can trust you. I think you gain that trust in people a lot sooner when you're listening to this person and when you're seeing them, because it's harder to fake it than when you see the person talking and you hear them talking consistently. So I think you can build that relationship quicker
Yeah,
compared to
because you
just
can
writing articles.
no, because you can really actually hear it in their voice.
Hmm.
And if there's a video along with it, you can see that that person is being authentic. You can tell when someone is being fake. You can tell when someone's not really being their authentic selves. And with me, I just try to be me. The questions that I asked you are questions that I want to know.
Hmm. Yeah, and the next thing is also with the difference is also, when I was writing, y- you're just a subject matter expert, quote unquote. So all you're really getting is the facts. You're getting research. You're just getting information.
Yeah.
And so you don't even really get to know about me. Like, why is this even important? Why am I so interested in all this tech and all this stuff right now? Why is he so interested in that? So people never really even knew that. Like, what is he interested in? What things does he do outside? Does he just read fitness and health content all day and that's it? And so you get to humanize yourself.
Yeah.
And strangely enough, which I guess not strangely enough, it's those things, those little quirks about yourself that people really connect to. It's not knowing all this information. That's cool and all, but it's like, what are some of your hobbies? Oh, you like to salsa dance. I like to salsa dance. Oh, cool, man. Little things like that. Of all the things, these things I don't even think about that much, but those are little small things that you kind of probably gloss over. And this is for anyone. Those things are going to be your strongest connectors with people.
Oh, because even when we first started,
Hmm.
one of the first things people when they I've had guests send me emails with questions they would like me to ask them.
Hmm. Oh wait a minute.
And
Oh no.
oh no.
Hmm.
Yes. That was my response when I read the email.
Yeah.
It's
I
like,
do that sometimes. Certain guests that are, I guess, kind of they have like a really image that they kind of want to
they want to
protect and
maintain,
everything.
yes.
So what I do did is I give them a high level overview of the topics, but I don't give them the direct questions because I don't know the direct questions.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm
I
gonna
don't
go
have
for
no structure.
yeah,
Honestly, I don't really have a structure to my show.
yeah.
I schedule it.
I'm
Like
going
we
for a
didn't
run or walk, and then whatever comes to my head when I come back in,
yeah.
that's what I'm going to ask.
And I don't even like some people do pre-screening of their guests. I really don't speak to my guests until the day of.
Hmm.
Like they might shoot me an email or something with a picture or whatever, and that's it. I'll do the research on them. I'll read their profile and stuff like that. But I don't have necessarily have a set questions. Like I'll ask them things about whatever they got going on, if they have a book, if they have
Hmm.
a course, but I'll ask those questions. But for the most part, I just want them to be themselves. I just want them to come on, have a great conversation, and be them. Be themselves. And so, because the people enjoy that more. People get to sit down and really look at it and be like, "Yo, these are just two regular guys right now, just chopping it up, just right here having a good conversation." And I'm able to learn something from it.
Hmm.
And
Absolutely.
so it's a win-win for me when I do my show.
Yeah, I think I have to get a little better at that. But sometimes I'm talking to like scientists, and so it's a the casual vibe is a little harder.
Yeah,
And so usually what I have to focus on a lot with my guests is like not getting too technical.
yeah,
So one of the things I had to learn when I left school was to learn how to speak was to speak to people, the general public, and not to my peers when I talk and when I communicate. So using different words, different verbiage, and explaining it to where everyone can do it. So like, can you explain this to where like a third or fourth grader would have a good idea of this? That's how simple you can have it. Because a lot of times you hear a lot of these terms, even people see my profile sometimes now, and you see certain words like, what is that? And like, what is that? I mean, some of that's for branding, right? And to
yeah,
to be a conversation starter, you got to stand out. I'm in a very competitive industry, right? But then you get to talking, then you can simplify it. And so you're not going to use just fancy words and everything just to sound smart, or even just um, get the academia talk out of yourself. So I have to kind of focus on that a lot of times with my guests. It's like even if they say that, and then I have to bring it back down to
yeah,
where somebody who's never heard of this, like nobody's ever heard of this little small molecule. Like, what does this actually do? And let's not use all this big fancy words. Not everyone has taken multiple years of science, chemistry and biology and all this stuff.
yeah, yeah. No, no. Sometimes, sometimes you got to dumb it down.
Yeah, it's better. And I think that's when you really do know your whatever your subject matter
Yeah,
is if you can explain it you can explain to someone who doesn't know this at all. Like they're
yeah.
coming in cold. Like, give me the nuts and bolts of this. Like the book, like what's those things called? The Cliff Notes. Yeah, like
Cliff notes. Yeah,
yeah, like a Cliff Notes. Like you got this big, thick 1,000-word book. And then now there's all channels. There's even, I think you can even buy like a Cliff Notes book
yeah.
and to sum it down.
And it
Yeah.
breaks it down to the basics of the book. Yeah, that's what a lot of people used to. Well, at least when I was going to school, that's what we used to use a lot to do our book reports. Was, hey, I'm just gonna give them the cliff notes from the library.
Mhm. Now you got Chat GPT though, right?
I Oh man, I love Chat GPT.
Yeah, I just tried it the other day. I just tried it the other day, and
And what did you think?
it was interesting. I gave it just some health prompts of like, hey, what do you, I forgot what I asked it, but it was just different health prompts and like topic ideas and stuff. And
And
I was like, wow, it's pretty impressive.
okay, I mentioned um I'm switching formats and I'm doing Mindset Mondays.
Hmm.
And I put exactly that into the chat GP. I was like, I'm stuck about mine on Mondays. I'm starting Mindset Mondays. I need some topics that I can you talk about. I need 25 topics to discuss on Mindset Mondays. And it gave me 25, some great topics that's 25 weeks of content that I don't now I'm set for Mondays now. I
Hmm.
have so I kind of like am starting to structure my show a little bit more,
Hmm.
but it's the ones where it's more when it's just me, I feel I need a little bit more structure.
Yeah.
Whereas when it's just me and a guest, then we can just free flow and just have a great conversation. But I'm realizing that when it's me, I do need that structure. I need to know what I'm going to talk about, what the subject matter is going to be. And so being able to have ChatGPT break that down for me and give me titles and descriptions of everything, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready now. All right, this is gonna be good.
Yeah. It gives you at least a guideline. Like a
Yeah,
lot of times my ideas come from when I'm running. And so I sometimes I do a segment called Saturday Sermon, and I not consistent with it yet, but and I just do little small 3 to 4 minute videos on whatever comes to my head, and then I usually relate it to health and performance or something like that.
okay,
And I think that the using the Chat GPT it's a great way to kind of even kind of just solidify the overall thing, enhance your idea. So if you have an idea, how can you further refine it? And I think
Yeah.
that's where the tool can come in. So, and it's just like kind of how I look at health technologies now, is that the technology is not going to overtake us. Uh, it's a way for us to leverage technology, and it's just another sign that civilization as a whole is just going to keep expanding. And
Evolving. Yeah.
yeah, that's it. So I know some people are very scared of technology. I'm not really one of those people.
No, honestly, I've been using any tools that I can to help me grow and build my
Hmm.
podcast and build my brand, because it just makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
And so when it's so much easier, you can actually be more consistent, because now you can do more. Like you take, now I don't have to sit down and be like, oh man, what am I going to do this Monday? I don't know what topics I'm going to discuss. I don't, this is giving me an outline for the next 25 weeks.
Hmm.
And so I'm like, that's saving me so much time. Yeah, now when I know what subject I'm going to read, I can just really do the research on that subject, and that's what I can talk about. And so it's just been, and a friend introduced this to me a few months ago, but like you, I just started using it recently. Like within the last month, I started using it, and it's, to me, it's a game changer as far as podcasting, because it makes, especially being an independent podcaster, and you don't have the machines like Apple, Spotify,
Hmm.
all of them behind you.
Well, not yet. You never know. You never know.
No, not
And
yet, not
y-
yet.
you know, and
It could happen. I'm,
2 years, like 2 years, you'll be out in a studio. You might have people in the shop with you each episode. You just never know.
no, it could happen. I don't doubt that. I'm very confident in my skills. I'm very confident in my ability. I know that I'm capable of doing this. I know that I'm gonna just get better with every episode.
Hmm.
Like this episode, I feel is going so much better than yesterday's episode. And yesterday's episode was pretty cool. But it's like with every episode, I'm just feeling much more comfortable. I'm getting a little bit more courage, because that's what it does. It just, you keep doing it, you keep repeating, you keep doing, you keep doing, you keep. Eventually, you're gonna really get to break out of that shell and really truly be yourself, and just. I didn't even know I was able to talk like this. Seriously, I didn't. I didn't know I could sit down and have these conversations with people. Like I would have talks with people and stuff like that, and some good conversations with people,
Hmm.
but I didn't know I would be able to do it on this scale. And so it's just been, it's been amazing just to be, it's to me, I put it like this. I wish everyone could experience what I experience when I podcast.
Hmm.
That feeling that I get when I'm doing this, which is, I'm just so energized. I have so much energy. I'm just looking forward to any time I get to record, is what I'm just like, okay, yeah. 5 o'clock can't get here quick enough.
Yeah, I can relate to that. It's a pretty enjoyable thing to get to meet so many different people and everything. So it's I don't podcast nearly as much as you do. But the time I do, it is very enjoyable.
Yeah, it is. I love it. But Julian, this has been great, man. I love having you on the show. This has been fun. Now is the time where you get the screen to yourself, man, and you get to plug away, and let everybody know where they can find you, find the book that you wrote 7 years ago, everything. I just promote everything you can, man.
Oh, I'm not gonna give too many. I'm not gonna give too many different places. So you're listening to this podcast, and so if it's on audio, go ahead and subscribe to Executive Health and Life. That's my podcast. If you are on YouTube right now or catching the replay on YouTube at some point, go ahead and subscribe to Executive Health. You'll see me there, and then my website is executivehealth.io. And people are interested, are needing assistance when it comes to health and performance longevity. Um, then a lot of the information will be there, and I usually sit down with people for 30 minutes just to hear what they have to say. offer some value and help the best I can. But that's it.
All right. Yeah. Thank you for being on the show. We were supposed to actually record in December, but something happened and you were
Yeah.
overbooked. You got overbooked. So, but it was meant to happen today. So
Exactly. It's a better conversation in 2023. Right now,
no,
in
it
2023.
was meant to happen. Like
Yeah.
People don't realize, like, when something, like when a guest cancels or reschedule, I don't get upset. I'm like, it happens.
hmm
And then when they do come on the show, the recording is like a great show. It's just it's some great energy, because that meant it was supposed to be recorded right then and there. At this moment, this is what was supposed to happen. This podcast was supposed to come out today.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
thank you for being on the show, man. I greatly appreciate it. But don't leave yet. We're gonna chat a little bit off the air, and let me just close out the show right quick. But I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure's all mine. All right, so now it is time for shout outs. Big shout out to everybody in the chat. Ben Munoz, thank you, brother, for coming through and sharing your comments. Big shout out to my man Obaimi. Keep supporting, brother. I appreciate it, man. Big shout out to Ben from the BS3 network. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for the opportunity to have Stuck in My Mind and Poppy J and Wise on your Roku channel. Greatly appreciate it, brother. Big shout out to my Real Wise fam, Poppy J, Brandy J. Love you guys. Big shout out to the boss lady, Fina. Love you and appreciate you, baby. Big shout out to my guest, Julian Hayes, for coming through and just having a great conversation, man. As always, I love when people come through and just get to be themselves. I greatly appreciate that. And as always, a big shout out to all the essential workers out there. God bless y'all. Be safe. You know your boy Wise does it. Peace out.